Hey friends, Fargo here. So I'm sure most of you are aware of this crafting feature that was once again released with this year's Halloween event. I know there's plenty of toons out there wondering how exactly we're supposed to collect enough materials to get everything we want this year. I've been thinking about it too, so I started doing some research to figure out which methods we can take advantage of the most and which would be better for what toon. Before we talk about anything though, let's lay down a few grounding rules. First things first, this crafting feature is a Halloween specific mechanic in Corporate Clash that allows for the crafting of items used to purchase various Halloween themed costumes from Alphabet, located in the Berg Playground by the Polar Place Tunnel. So now that we know what crafting is, what's the best way to collect materials for you? Without further ado, let's hop right into the video and find out. Alright, so from what I'm aware of currently, mats can be gathered from counterclaim, sads to skelecog, fishing, and of course, the crafting itself. Sadly, from what I've gathered, mats cannot be obtained through the trolley, nor are they obtainable from other bosses. However, I could be wrong. Leave a comment down below if anything comes up about that. But aside from all that, I'll be starting off by going over the obvious method, which is using the crafting feature. Within your sticker book, you can find the crafting page 7, real funny, icons down from the top. It should look a little bit like a red recipe booklet with some sort of red object on it. Once you flip to the page, you'll see something that looks like this, with materials on the left, and something that says click a material to craft to the right. Clicking on a material will bring up a panel, which will allow you to pay 350 jelly beans for 5 crafting materials of your picking. This doesn't come without its downsides though, as this technically means that if you pay for 20 crafting materials, you're paying up to 1,400 jelly beans for a single item. Not to mention that some items go up to 100 mats, so that's 7,000 jelly beans for some golden devil horns. You could have bought 15 individual square frames and 10 different speed chat phrases for that much, if that puts it into perspective. Also, some items call for a sample of every material, like the candy nameplates which call for 20 each. That's a whopping 22,400 jelly beans if you can manage to part with your life savings, that is. So in the long run, it's probably not worth it at all to try and use only this crafting feature for your Halloween costume needs. Moving right along, I want to talk very briefly about the 2 mini-boss battles. First off, defeating Counterclaim will give somewhere between 20 and 30 of any given material, depending on the tier. I'll need to do more testing, but it's probably possible to receive more than 30 in a tier 6 Counterclaim, but don't quote me on that. It's not really ideal to obtain materials via Counterclaim, however, if you can defeat him consistently, it's not a bad turnout, especially considering you also get a cog summon for your troubles. Talking a bit about the mini-bosses, Sads is definitely an interesting one. When defeated, Sads gives 7, again, really funny, of each material, which isn't that bad. Getting 7 of each material is almost like receiving nearly 6,000 jelly beans worth of stuff, so it's a pretty big benefit towards your jelly bean piggy bank as a whole. However, seeing as it involves a little bit of RNG to get them, it's not a very reliable source of materials. Your best bet would be to try and shop for sads, but even that can be very time consuming and tedious, so you're probably better off just grinding counterclaim with the occasional chance of sads as opposed to trying to aim for sads. No shade towards those that like shopping for sads, it's just not a very efficient way of going about obtaining materials. The last method I want to bring up is fishing, which is probably the most effective way of gathering materials, if not the most tedious. While fishing, there's a chance to fish out any amount of materials from 6 to 16, or maybe even more at the rare chance. Keep in mind that the amount you get depends on your fishing rod, so the higher up in fishing you are, the more materials you get. The chance of getting these mats aren't too terrible either. I'd say the rarity is about on par with the rarity of the old boot, depending on how lucky or unlucky you are. However, just catching as much as 1 bundle of materials is already enough to put you way above green, even with a platinum rod. In fact, with a platinum rod, you're only using 7 jelly beans to get at least 100 times as much in terms of mats. Not to mention that you almost always profit off of fishing, so you aren't technically losing any jelly beans in the process, unless you're very unlucky. If you have the time to fish, I'd recommend doing so if you need materials. Not to mention all the jelly beans you fish out could go towards buying more materials if you so please. However, fishing for hours isn't something toons really enjoy doing regularly, so this method won't be for everyone. But if you do decide to fish for materials, I'd do it during Fish Bingo for that added bonus of getting even more jelly beans in the process. So what are my conclusions? Well, depending on who you are, I have 3 options for you. The first option is to grind the counterclaim fight. If you have a group of 4 toons that you've been strategizing with over these past few days, I'm sure by now you know exactly what to do when it comes to defeating the count. So it's likely that defeating the count consistently may just come easier than trying to fish or spend jelly beans. After all, the count battle only lasts about 10 to 20 minutes if you know what you're doing, and you get a sizable amount of materials plus the chance of getting a good cog summon. Not to mention the rare chance of getting 7 of each material, hilarious by the way, in the stats fight. So if you enjoy theorizing gag strategies and want an exciting way to obtain materials, option 1 might appeal to you more. Option 2 would be the more casual experience if you think you aren't quite ready for the counterclaim battle, or you just don't want to fight the count at all. This option is the fishing and crafting option. This option is a tad slow, however it's practically a way of getting tons of materials for free. Just by doing a bit of fishing, you can have a sizable amount of materials from only a few buckets, and you don't even need to be rich. However, if you do have a lot of jelly beans and aren't going to spend them anywhere anyway, you could also just buy all the materials you need for the Halloween items you wanted. Not only does it take virtually no time at all, but it gives you a good reason to want to spend a whole lot of jelly beans on something, and if you run out of jelly beans, you can just go right back to fishing if you have some left over. It's a satisfying cycle that rewards you with hundreds of materials if you fish and craft consistently. It's a good option for those that don't necessarily want to risk going sad to the Halloween mini-bosses, but still want to enjoy the festivities of Halloween and the event. Finally, option 3 would just be to enjoy yourself. Do all the things, like fishing, crafting, or fighting the count, everything. Do whatever suits your needs, and you'll likely end up with a good amount of materials either way. Remember, doing tasks also grants you jelly beans, so just by doing the main task line will also allow you to craft materials freely without the need of fishing or fighting the count. Just remember to have fun, because it's all that matters in the end. Alright, well, I hope what I've told you here has been of some help. I tried to be as neutral as I could, so do what you will with the information I've provided. If any of my numbers were incorrect in this video, just keep in mind that I'm absolutely the worst when it comes to numbers, but I did my best. Let me know in the comments what you think the best option is, and if any of them have worked for you. And if it sounds like I'm a little sick this video is because my nose is a bit stuffy right now, but I'm sure that'll pass soon. Anyway, make sure to like the video, hit the bell icon to get notified when I upload, and subscribe to join the Hypno Party. And remember, I've been Fargo, and stay hypnotized, folks.